going on? I pray that all is well. I pray that God continue to bless all of you and keep you in such a time as this. This is Filmore Spellman Productions, YouTube live and in living color. I pray that everybody's having a wonderful, blessed day. Right now it's 4:10 Eastern Standard Time. You know, here on the East Coast and of United States. You know, right now the sun is out. You know, I know there's some people out there and everything. Yeah. To describe my day today, it was a blessed day. And before I begin to express the blessed day today, I would like for everyone to like, subscribe to my page, and also click that notification bell. Once you click that notification bell, you'll you'll get an immediate alert that I'm on live, and you can hop on in and everything. So that's pretty much that. Yeah, and also housekeeping rules. When you come on my live page, just make sure you know you post something positive down below. I just got zero tolerance for negative postings. Nah, I got zero tolerance for that. When I see it, I will call you out. And I would delete it. You understand? Because we're grown folks. You know what I'm saying? Let's act like grown folks. Paul the Apostle said to the Church of Corinth, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I thought as a child, and I understood as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. So let us be adults here. No negativity and the whole nine. Do that to other platforms that allow, that type of, free speech. But here, we don't play that. You know what I'm saying? For real. Yeah. But yeah, so I had a blessed day today at work. Today was an easy day. Kids today, because I work in the school system with kids. Luckin Georgiana says hi. How you doing? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining. Thank you for saying hi. I don't know if I'm supposed to press say hi. Hi. you know, Lunkin. Let me take a screenshot because I can't see how y'all look. Let me screenshot y'all. Hold on for a second. Hold on for a second. Let me see how you look. Oh, I see you lunking. I see you lunking. I see how you looking. What's going on? I got edit on hashtag God. What's going on? We don't want to edit God. You know what I'm saying? In all the fullness, the Godhead bodily. You know what I'm saying? God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. We don't want to edit the fullness of God. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to take you out of context. Edit hashtag God. But you don't want to edit God. So I'm just messing with you. You know what I'm saying? Well, good afternoon, everybody. Just tell me where you from. I'm here in the United States of America. Anywhere in Nassau County. I'm not originally from Nassau County. I'm from the boogie down Bronx. You know what I'm saying? The birthplace of hip hop. That's why I'm like a little edgy. You know what I'm saying? Because I was born on concrete. Here is like quiet. Flip the camera. See? Right here. It's that quietness, you know what I'm saying? But when I'm in the five boroughs, you know what I'm saying, it's a different kind of energy. You know what I'm saying? When I go to the Bronx, where my family's at, I feel like I'm myself. Here it's like quiet. People walk their dog and people go to Home Depot and What else that place? People go. They go to Home Goods. They go to uh, what's that thing? It's another place. It's like Home Depot. People go to, buy their stuff. Yeah. Luffy said, "You're from the hood, dogs." Yeah, from the hood. Look at that. From the hood, fam. From the boogie down Bronx, fam. For real, for real. Yeah. You know, there's a different energy in the Nassau, in Nassau County. You know what I'm saying? Their energy's not like the five boroughs energy. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what five boroughs you from. If you from Nas, he's from that project in Queens, they like the Bronx, you know what I'm saying? We got that same energy, you know what I'm saying? If you're from Brooklyn, same energy like you from Brownsville. If you're from those places like Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying? You got that energy. Same thing like the Bronx. We got a different energy. We got a different vibe. You know what I'm saying? We different. We hit different. Here it's just, the Long Island young people. They dress like they from the hood, but their energy is different. You understand? But the fellas in the hood, like the Boogie Down Bronx, Mauritanian projects, where I'm from. It's a different energy, man, for real. When you from the Bronx, it's a different energy. You know what I'm saying? That's why you know, I can fit myself in. But I can fit myself here too. I could talk, professionalism and all that good stuff. You got to know how to engage and disengage. You know what I'm saying? Otley said, "Sup, bro? What's going on, Otley? What's going on? Tell me where y'all from, man. I'd like to know where y'all from, man. Yo, represent your hood." Like I said, I'm anywhere in North Nassau County. I ain't tell y'all specifically. You know what I'm saying? You know. Antoine said, "You're not made for the cold." True that. True that. Yeah, when you're in Nassau County, see when you're in the projects, or because the last place I was living in Manhattan. You know what I'm saying? We from Harlem. It's same energy, same vibe. I was on Morningside Heights. I was living in Frederick Douglass houses. You know what I'm saying? They got big, tall buildings. Weather is a little different. You know what I'm saying? But here, when you live closer to the water, you understand? It's a little breezy. You know what I'm saying? There's no tall buildings to break the air. You know what I'm saying? It hits different over here. If I show you, around, people got their jackets on and their sweaters and everything. Yeah, so it hits a little different. Yeah. Let me see. November cold is worse than March cold. Yeah, you could say that. Like getting close to like Thanksgiving, yeah, it hits different. When I used to live in Manhattan, and I used to work at this place called VMLY&R, which was an advertisement firm. I used to work, in that area, where the parade was. I was cold, man. There are times I just want to be in my house, under that heat. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. The November weather hits different. It all depends now, because I think last year it wasn't all that cold last year. It all depends. It hits different. You know what I'm saying? At times, depending on the weather climate. You understand? And I think on Christmas it wasn't all that cold either. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't. So yeah, I think it might be more colder. When we get there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. But that's what's up. I'm glad that y'all communicating, engaging, y'all keeping it clean and the whole nine. Like I said, we're adults. Let us, make sure that, y'all stand on my housekeeping rules and everything. it causes. It says it causes. We are used to the heat. Yeah, I know we supposed to be Africans. You know, we supposed to be used to the heat and the whole nine. But if it, like a person like us, you know, if you are an African diaspora, you know, you were born here. If you weren't born in Africa, you know, you you're not going to be used to that everyday sub-Sahara, you know, type of, you know, temperature. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, you know, us as African diaspora, we got to adapt to any kinds of weather. You know what I'm saying? You know, when it's 0 degrees, then 40 feels like summer. Yep, that's true. You know, it's all because of that global warming stuff, man. It's what they put in the air. You know, when they put emissions up in the air in the atmosphere, you know, it's those CFCs, those chlorofibocarbons, is eating up the ozone layer. You understand? Yeah, there's a hole in the ozone layer in Antarctica. You know, and that's why, you know, you have you know, people who deals with climate science and that's supposed to be our protector, the ultraviolet. You know, to protect us from the sun rays. You know, yeah. Hold on a second. Hurry up across the street. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. But like I said, I appreciate everybody, you know, hopping on in. You know, I had a good time at school today. The kids here in Nassau County, they did the PSAT test. You know, they did that. Um, the 12 graders, they took the SAT test. They literally took the SAT test, and you know, because they talk grades, you know, and everything. You know, by passing the SAT test, you know, it's the potential of, you know, them going to, you know, good colleges and get scholarships and stuff like that. So, but those who are practicing, you know, it doesn't really count. You understand? They just practicing and everything. My son, my youngest son, who goes to the same school where I work at, you know, he took the practice SAT test. You understand? This is what they do here in Nassau County. Is, you know, it's different here. You know, it's very different, very different. You know, in Nassau County, the police, they don't play here. They hit different than the five boroughs. The five boroughs, they can be you know, a little lenient and everything, but here these 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 police, they don't play. Especially, you know, the ones that are not color, you know, they don't play. So you got to be very nice and kind, because they don't play. And you wonder why the crime rate is low in the Nassau and Suffolk counties and everything. They don't play here. So if you ever think about trying to do something crazy, just just be wary, meaning be very cautious. Be cautious. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's trying to get along. You understand? You know, you know. In Long Island, the demographic is changing. You know, start seeing Dominicans coming in here more, El Salvadorians. You know, you still have your blacks and stuff like that, but the demographic is different. Just like, you know, up in the Bronx. The Bronx, you know, the demographic is changing. Got a lot of Dominicans up in there, and you know, a lot of African Muslims. You know, moving up in the Bronx. Every time I go visit my mom, you know, when I take the train and the bus, yeah, I be seeing a lot of the Africans and the Dominicans and everything. You think that you're in a different borough. But nah, it's like that. You know what I'm saying? Zach said, "What? I hope it's positive, man." I don't know what you're trying to say. Milk dud. I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to say, man. I hope it's positive because if I decode what you're saying, I'll delete you. Like I said, keep it clean, fam. Keep it clean. All right? For real, for real. Yeah. But yeah. We gotta be open to the changing climate of, here in America. America is a melting pot. But I don't want to get into the history because I don't want to start any trouble debate. Who was here first. I ain't going down that road. You understand? Yeah. But thank you so much for everybody for, communicating. It's all good. It's all good. It's all gravy, baby. You know what I'm saying? All right. My parents used to always say, look both ways before you cross the street. That's what I'm doing. I don't want to get hit by a car. I got to be very careful. For real. Got to be very careful when you cross these streets in here in Long Island. You don't want to get hurt. The whole nine. For real. Well, I made it. Zach said, reconnecting with family is the answer, my friend. That's right. I'm a proponent of family. Family is very important. It's vitally important to reconnect with your family. Especially there's like a disconnect when it comes to family and the whole nine. Yeah. How you doing? Yeah, you gotta reconnect with family. Family is vitally important. And then again, when it comes to certain family members, if you have certain family members that are toxic and they don't mean business on, want to reconnect, you did your part, in the reconciliation business, and you just keep it moving, keep it stepping, and that's it. Don't try hard to try to reconcile. You did your part in terms of reconciling and all that, but if they choose to be toxic and they want to wreak havoc in your lives, that's when you have to move forward and everything. And that's how it is. It's the world that we live in. You know what I'm saying? But I agree with you, Zach. Reconnecting with family, is the answer, my friend. If two parties come together and let's forgive and reconcile and come together, yes, I agree with you unequivocally, 100%. But if there's another party refusing to reconnect, and when you try all you can and everything, that's it. You try your part. You know what I'm saying? You definitely try your part. The whole nine. But yeah. You have people out there that's just so hell-bent on, don't want to connect with families and everything. And they just want to stay toxic, and they want to blame the world, project negativity on you, for their mishaps. You understand? And their hurts. You understand? Yeah, it's that narcissistic, that trauma that they trying to put on people. You understand? So that's pretty much it. Yo, beloveds, I'm going to let y'all go. All right, it was good talking to y'all, man. Even just this brief moment of conversation, and y'all communicated with me well. I like the vibe y'all presented to me, and the whole nine. I'm a good person. I'm a positive person. I like positive vibes. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I gravitate to, you know, the positive vibes and everything. So that's pretty much it. Yeah. Atan Shagur said, have a good one. Yeah, fam, have a good one too, man. All right. Yo, until we meet again, man. I love y'all all, man. I'm feeling the good vibes, you know what I'm saying? I could definitely feel the good vibes, you know, in the whole nine. So that's basically it. Hey, how you doing, sir? I would like to know who's the female, who's the owner of this whole establishment?
The owner.
Yeah.
The owner, I don't know if it's here now, or you can go.
Oh, she said that door, right?
Yeah.
All right. Because I try to reach that person marketplace. They said there's like an office, you know, available. You know, I want to check and see if I can do my ministry or something like that. But the owner's right here?
I don't know if he's here.
All right.
So you can
just knock on the door?
You can open it.
Oh, it's open?
Yeah, you can open
Okay,
it.
okay. So let me end my Facebook, YouTube, and thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. All right, y'all have a blessed one, all right? Shalom.